So the normal thing to do is give the user some feedback when they don't meet validation, rather than having a form status displayed like this. And Bootstrap, what we're using, does provide validation feedback attributes we can use and classes we can use when it comes to forms. And if we take up forms and validation, then we can take a look at their different examples and the different ways that we can style these inputs for various different approaches. And we can have a success validator. So when the form is good or the input is good, we can display green text and a check mark to say that's okay. Or if they've done something wrong, then we can set the border to be red and we can add an exclamation mark and provide the feedback underneath the input as well. So that's the approach we'll take. And of course, we want this to happen dynamically based on what they're typing into the inputs at any given time. So we'll head back to VS Code. And let's go to our register component template, and we'll start off in the username. So the first thing we can do is check to see if the username input has errors and also whether or not the username input has been touched. We don't want to immediately display a validation error as soon as the user opens the form before they've even had a chance to tell us the information. So we're going to use an approach to create a conditional class, and we can use just class inside here, and then we can specify the name of the class, which is, in this case, is-invalid. And we're going to set this class when whatever condition we put to the right of this is met. So we're going to say register form, and we want to get one of our controls, and then we specify the name of the control, which is the username, and then we can check it for errors. And if we do take a look at what this gives us, if I go to the register form, then if I take out hello, then we can see that we've got the exclamation mark there, and the border is colored red when we don't meet the validation rules for this input. And let me take out the hello, because the reason we don't see a validation error straight away is because there is some default text inside there. And if we go back to this and I click on register, then straight away we're displaying that the input's got an error before the user has had a chance to type into the input. So let's go back and also add another condition here. And after the errors, we'll add double ampersand and we'll say register form.get, and we'll specify username again, and we can get the touched state of the input as well. Let's bring that down. So this way, if I go back to the register form, I click on this, then it's not going to display red until I touch into the input and then touch out of the input. But we'd also like to give the user some text feedback as well. So inside here, just below the label, I'll just add a div and we'll give it a class of invalid-feedback. And we'll just say, please enter a username. And we'll only see this invalid feedback if there is actually an error with the input. And if we go take a look at that and I click on register, I touch into the input and touch out of it, then we get the validation feedback there as well. But I'd rather this stick to the left. This seems to be a new thing where it pops into the middle. So we'll add another class here and just say text-start, so it appears underneath the input and to the left. And if I double check that, then that's what we're going for our validation error. So let's also do the same for the password and the confirm password fields as well. We'll copy the class is invalid, and don't worry too much about the amount of copying and pasting I'm doing here. There is a more reusable way we can use these inputs that provides the validation feedback, so we don't have to do this over and over again. But for the short term, we'll just use this approach to get the validation feedback in there. So I'll add this to the password inputs, and of course we need to update the control name, so this is going to be password, and same here as well. And then let's also copy this div. But we've got 3 different validators on this one. So we need to add a conditional here to decide which validator to display. So this is where things get quite busy in our HTML template. And because it is going to get quite busy, I'm going to use the ngIf directive here rather than using the built-in control flow. So inside the register component, because I want to add a conditional, I'm going to add in to the imports array the ngIf we get from Angular Common. And then inside the register component, we're going to need to use the ngIf. So I'll add ngIf, and then we need to check the register form.get and the password. And then we're going to need to check has error and specify required as the error that we want to check for. And then we can display the invalid feedback. But we're going to need 2 more of these because we've got 3 different types of error. So same control, but we need to look for the min length error. And casing is important here, by the way. If you use min uppercase length, then quite bizarrely, that doesn't work. It has to be all lowercase for this one. And the third one needs to be max length. And then let's bring this down. And this one as well. And for the second one, we'll say password must be at least 4 characters. And for the third one, we'll say password must be at most 8 characters. And then we'll also do the same for the third one as well. So I'll just copy this class and paste it into the input here. And I'll say confirm password. And copy this and paste it below. And we'll need 2 divs for the confirm password. We have 2 validators for that one. So I'll just paste these in as well. And I'll copy the confirm password and just overwrite these. And that has error should be required, not confirm password, of course. And for this one, the custom validator we use the name is matching. And that has to match the name of what we've called it in our custom validator. Where we used this is effectively the name of the validator we're comparing against in the template. So it has to say is matching same casing as well. And then we can change the description here and say confirm password must match password. And if we go and take a look at our progress and we click on register, then username we know is already doing its thing. So if I click into password and click out of password, then I obviously forgot to update that one. So let's update the please enter a username, and instead that should be, of course, password. And did I do the same on the other one? I probably did. Yeah, I did. So I'll just say confirm password in the third one. Okay, let's try that one more time. So if I click on register, username we know works, password, please enter a password, and also the confirm password as well. If I type into the input field for the username, the validator goes away. If I type into the password field, then we get the minimum length character. If I keep typing, the password is validated. But then if I add more characters, then we should hit the second validator. So I'll go back to just test for the password. And then for our confirm password, we can see both validators are enabled here because we've got the password one updating every time. And if I start typing, then if I get the password to match, then the confirm password goes away and comes back again when not matching. So that's how we add validation feedback, but it's a bit busy because this is a single input, and I don't think that's our busiest input either. No, this one is. So we've got 3 validators on this, and that's quite a bit of HTML for a single input. And it would be nice, would it not, to have a better way of creating these inputs where we're not doing so much work every time we want to use one of these things, because we do create forms in any application that we do build, so it is nice to have an easy way to create things like form inputs in a more easy to use and reusable fashion, and we'll take a look at how we can do that next.